Hello and welcome to the Forsaken Inn as visualized by the developers of Lord of the Rings Online. Let's take a quick look around. As we can see, the inn is populated by humans, dwarves and hobbits. Now I know hobbits like to live in the Shire, but it shouldn't come as any surprise that hobbits are found this far out. The Fellowship of the Rings says, "The Harfoots had much to do with dwarves in ancient times, and long lived in the foothills of the mountains. They moved westward early and roamed over Eriador as far as Weathertop, while the others were still in the Wilderland." Okay, and here we are outside the Forsaken Inn. As you can see, the game renders it as a dilapidated building filled with quest givers and vendors. It comes with its own task board, mailbox, milestone, respawn point and stable. The developers really intended us to spend a great deal of time here at the inn. Now by contrast, the movie by Peter Jackson completely ignores the Forsaken Inn. Instead, he prefers to advance the scene quickly from the prancing pony to the journey to the top of Weathertop. In the book, Tolkien only makes brief reference to it when Strider comments that it is a day's journey from Bree. "I don't know if the road has ever been measured in miles beyond the Forsaken Inn, a day's journey east of Bree," answered Strider. From the Forsaken Inn, we travel east along the Great East Road. Now in the book, our heroes, Frodo, Sam, Pippin and Strider, have to take a more circuitous route, avoiding this road because of the Black Riders. Instead, they take a 5-day journey through the Midgewater Pass. They had not gone far on the 5th day when they left the last straggling pools and reed beds of the marshes behind them. The land before them began steadily to rise again. Away in the distance, eastward, they could now see a line of hills. The highest of them was at the right of the line, and a little separated from the others. It had a conical top, slightly flattened at the summit. "That is Weathertop," said Strider. "The old road, which we have left far away on our right, runs to the south of it, and passes not far from its foot. We might reach it by noon tomorrow if we go straight towards it." The game developers render the rough shape of Weathertop Hill faithfully to both Strider's description in the book and to the film. Weathertop is the largest and most southerly of the hills, known as Amon Sul, or Hill of Winds. It was founded in the year 3320 of the Second Age of Middle-earth by Elendil. In Peter Jackson's movie, the scene shows our heroes trekking over a barren landscape, along the tops of the hills. The camera is looking up at our figures against the backdrop of an ominous grey sky, with a tall hill behind them and another in front of them, and in the foreground nothing but moss-covered rocks and boulders and short grass. The music score adds to the sense of vulnerability and foreboding. The scene at once gives us an impression of their vulnerability, their exposure, and the great distance they have already covered and yet still have to travel. In the book, Tolkien reveals the hills drew nearer. They made an undulating ridge, often rising almost to 1,000 feet, and here and there falling again to low clefts or passes, leading into the eastern land beyond. Along the crest of the ridge, the hobbits could see what looked to be the remains of green-brown walls and dikes, and in the clefts there still stood the ruins of old works of stone. In the movie, the scene jumps to Strider and the hobbits standing at the foot of Weathertop, with Strider explaining that this hill is called Amon Sul, and this is where they're going to make their camp. By contrast, Tolkien has his characters just come to the path. In the game, however, we have to actively look for a very well hidden path. The Great Amon Sul is a fortified watchtower. It overlooks the East Road, but it does not itself lie on the East Road. The height and location of the watchtower would indeed make it nigh on impossible for any enemy to sneak up without anyone on top seeing them. Our heroes were right to feel extremely vulnerable. Now, as you can see, the path really does hug the mountain. So once on the path, it would be considerably harder for anyone on top of the hill to see those making the ascent. It's no wonder our heroes had so much trouble finding it. This path was made to serve the forts along the walls, but long before, in the first days of the North Kingdom, they built a great watchtower on Weathertop. Amon Sul, they called it. It was burned and broken, and nothing remains of it now but a tumbled ring, like a rough crown on the old hill's head. Now we come to the final leg of our journey. In the film, Peter Jackson has the characters sitting by a campfire, cooking tomatoes, sausages and nice crispy bacon. Almost a full English breakfast. Unlike us Brits, though, the hobbits are having it for supper. In the film, Strider is nowhere to be seen, and Frodo is fast asleep. He wakes up and notices that the fire has attracted the Black Riders. "Put it out, you fools!" he cries, stamping out the fire. In the book, Frodo isn't asleep, and they're all telling stories around a campfire. It is Strider who encourages them to stand with their backs to the flames and to wield firebrands. In the game, there are large numbers of campfires dotted around Weathertop. In the instance, we're asked to light fires and need a fire to pass through the gate in order to advance the quest line. However, in the game, all the action has really left and we're the rear guard. Frodo, Strider and the gang have long since moved on, and all that remains at the top of Weathertop is the ruined circle of stones and the blackened remains of where there was once a great battle. There is one curious thing at the top, and this is the stone that is a different colour from the others. If we zoom in, what we see is an elvish letter G and 3 stripes. Strider interprets those as Gandalf was there 3 days ago, although it could just be from a normal ranger. In the film, some of the statues are not entirely destroyed, but in the game, there is nothing but ruins. The view, however, from the top is breathtaking.